Microphone check. Microphone check. Wait for a few viewers to get in here. I know I'm late. Had to go make a run real fast. I wasn't planning on being late today. See, I'm in the studio. Wanted some good sound today, so I came to the studio. I'm gonna wait for a few more viewers to get in here before I start. As you guys see, I'm doing Rolling 60s Crip episode 2. I started out with Pretty Boy and they funked between the BGF and the Crips on the yard at DVI. I believe it was 90 or 91. I still haven't got my facts straight, but it was either 1990 or 1991. If you already haven't hit that like button, please smash that like button. If you already haven't hit that subscribe button, please subscribe to the channel. Show me you guys are supporting the channel. Few more viewers. I'm waiting for a few more viewers to get in here so I can finish this Pretty Boy story. Me and Pretty Boy became pretty close. He's out now. He's in LA. He's doing good things down there. He did a lot of years, I think over 30 years in prison. And hopefully Lunatic Frank will be coming home soon. I have talking to him. I haven't talked to him for over a year and a half. He did do me a favor. I know he's going to see this. He did me a favor a couple years ago. I don't want to get into that. However, I want to finish this story about Pretty Boy. So Pretty Boy, if anyone ever did time with Pretty Boy from Rolling 60s, you knew his name carried weight in prison. I've heard about him way before this, before I even met him. And Hoover T, even though they was both Mac reps for the Crips, Hoover T told me to, what am I doing talking to him? He asked me, told me to stay away from him. And I didn't understand that. However, even though the BGF cast that were on the yard with me and the Crips was getting into it, me and Stay Cool were real close. So I was in a dilemma. And the reason why I wore this tank top today, so you guys don't see I'm bullshitting. So in prison gang culture, there are certain emblems that people get tattooed on them so they know who's who. And Stay Cool was trying to pull me. He was BGF. I didn't read the whole Bible per se, but I did read a lot of it. I never took an oath, but I went as far as getting that. You guys know what that means. For some of my viewers, it's been to prison. It's a dragon. It's spitting fire out of the mouth and the tail's to the left. So what's up, James? I see you, boy. So I did. That was my initial goal as a youngster. But then I started getting backlash. I got 3 homies from 29th Street that went that route. They took that oath in their JAMA, their BGF. I'm not going to mention their names on here. 2 of them I'm really, really close to this day. One of them, not so much. But the other 2 I'm really close to. One of them has my name, my nickname. I named him after me long years ago. But like I was saying, that was my initial decision. They was pulling me. BGF was pulling me. And I went as far as got the tattoo, but I never took the oath. And the reason being is because me and Stay Cool was really close, but I found out later He's the one that stabbed the Crip in the vocational in the machine shop. And that's why he was under suspicion. He was under investigation. He didn't get caught. He was under investigation, and they moved him to the sandwich room. That's where I met him at, in the sandwich room. They after a couple of weeks, they gave me a job in the sandwich room. I worked in the sandwich room for probably about a year. Me and Hammer was from 8 Tray or 4 Tray Gangster. I believe 8 Tray. Me, Hammer, Smiley. You guys ever seen his show on here? Smiley, Hell's Angel Smiley. He was in the sandwich room with me. And Stay Cool. Them are the 3 people that I remember that stood out to me. Oh, and Doc. Doc he was a lifer too. I forgot where Doc was from. But Doc was the peanut butter man. Oh, Snaggletooth dude. Anyways, so me and Pretty Boy, we got along pretty good, man. We got real close. And he was one of the reasons that I didn't fall through joining with BGF. Pretty Boy talked to me up, frequently on the yard. He played an instrument. He played the bass guitar in the yard. So we was real, I was always into music. And he was just this, if you seen him on the yard, you would know what I'm talking about. He was tall. He had like a long ass perm. You could tell he's from LA. Anyone that's been in prison, you could tell by the way people swag and the way they dress, where they're from. I knew Pretty Boy was from the 60s. He basically had the keys for the Crips on the yard, besides the Hoovers and the gangsters, of course. But as far as the neighborhoods, he had the keys. We got real close. And ever since then, so I'm gonna tell you guys something. When you're a Crip from up north in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have NC in 89. Northern Crip, NC, it wasn't, we was there, but we wasn't together like that. We wasn't as one. So most of us, I know I'm gonna get a lot of comments about this, most of us navigated towards other Crips, and most of the Crips on the yard are from LA or San Diego. Got to give a shout out to West Coast Crips San Diego, 40s, 30s, Hoodie from the Hood. Shout out to Hoodie from the Hood. But we navigated towards them. And Pretty Boy just happened to be one that was real cool. He was real mellow. He had a level head on his shoulders, and he really kind of laced me up. So I navigated towards Venice Shoreline Crips, really, and neighborhood Crips. And that's how I met Pretty Boy. There wasn't no incidences with Pretty Boy, but he ran a tight ship. He maneuvered around the prison like he wanted to. He played the bass. And that's how I met Pretty Boy from Rolling 60s in 1990 or 1991. The next individual, Lunatic Frank. So I met Lunatic Frank in 2010. So I haven't been knowing Lunatic Frank since the 80s like Pretty Boy. I met him at Corcoran, level 4 A yard, I believe, in 2010. I get my yards mixed up. I believe it was A yard. And I told this short story before in one of my other true stories, I think. But I met Lunatic Frank because he's the first person I bought a cell phone from in prison. He was in my building. And I'm going to tell you something about Lunatic Frank. Lunatic Frank's probably 5'6", got an afro still. And he's funny as hell, but he's down. And so this dude, he got moves. And when I say moves, he always got something. His hand is something. He's a hustler. And he went as far as to marry his lawyer. He bumped his lawyer and married her. So they had money, but Lunatic Frank had his hands in a lot of shit. I remember one time the goon squad came in the building. Lunatic Frank was out working. He was a building porter, and he had his phone on him. And I was sitting there on my table writing, and all I heard was a boom on my door. And I look out, I don't see no one. I see Lunatic Frank on the ground. Lunatic Frank and the goon squad was running towards him. He ran and slid towards my door and slid his phone under my door. I seen it slide in. The goon squad gap. gaffled him up, searched him, and took him. He came right back though, because they didn't find nothing on him. I had it in the cell. They never came in and searched me. They don't know if he threw something in there or not. He just broke and slid in my cell and threw his cell phone under my door. But that's how I met Lunatic Frank in Corcoran in 2010. Now, Lunatic Frank, he was there when I paroled in 2018. He came to CMC. He was at CMC when I got there. Like I said, CMC is not the prison like it was in the 90s. It became a gangbang central. And I know a lot of you people are going to be like, hell, now listen, in 2017, when they brought all them dudes out of Pelican Bay, they sent 2 of each faction to every prison. They sent a MA dude, I'm not going to say his name, a Jama Cat, and a AB, all to CMC, and they made 1 yard there good for everybody, except Northerners. I'm talking about CMC East. CMC West had Northerners, and it was all good for them over there. CMC East had no Northerners. If there was no good. Everyone else on A yard was good. So Lunatic Frank was there when I got there. And he was there when I got jumped. He was on the yard. He had my cell phone. Lunatic Frank had his own flip phone when I got to CMC, but I had two of these touch screens. This is an iPhone. I didn't have an iPhone. I had an Android there. And Lunatic Frank liked to rip my phone every day during the day so he could do his video shit, whatever he was doing in there, right? So the day I got jumped, Lunatic Frank had my phone. And my homies knew he had it. So that's why they did what they did. I did a story about that already with the old boy that jumped me. Go back and look at the story. I interviewed him on here. I got to interview him again because we really couldn't hear his phone. He was having Wi-Fi problems. But I'll interview him again. He's one of the individuals that jumped me. And he's the individual that I really took off on after I got hit in the side. I got hit in the side of the head. And I got shot with the block gun twice. Right here, broke my finger. That's why it's crooked. And another time 3 times I got shot right here in my elbow. And this damn thing was big as hell and in the back of my head. And usually, I shouldn't have to say this, but usually the tower, they will shoot the aggressors. And that's what happened. So I got bombed on and they was youngsters. You guys seen the interview with the dude that jumped me, right? Let me look it up. I forgot his name. I want to say Champ, but his name ain't Champ. His name is Frost from Merced Gangster Crip. The interview was 2 months ago with the dude that jumped me. His name is Frost. There's a picture of him for the thumbnail. He's a dark skinned cat throwing up a 4. And his name is Frost. That's one of the individuals that jumped me from my phone. He was sent to do it and he didn't know what he was doing. So he kind of got the short end of the stick. I've been around a long time. So as soon as someone fires on you, if they don't knock you out, you turn and blend them. And that's just what happened. And there was another light-skinned cat. While I got Frost on the ground getting shot 3 times, he's on my back. But I was knocked out. That's the only time I was ever knocked out, but not by them. I was knocked out by the block gun. I woke up in the cage, and that's what it was. I mean, I got knocked out, and they kept me in the hole for the 6 days until I paroled, because I was 6 days to paroling, and they wouldn't let me. I signed the marriage contract, they wouldn't sign it. So Frost ended up going to a S&Y yard after that, because after he got out of the hole for doing that with me, I think he took off on somebody. I don't know if the guy that sent him to do it, but he found out it was over my phone, and the dude kind of got in trouble. I need to interview AB because he's the one that sent him. He's out now. He's from Salinas, and I need to interview him. So yeah, Lunatic Frank was there. Me and Lunatic Frank did a lot of business in prison together. James in Cali prisons with Southern Bloods and Crips, because I was a Northern Crip. Hey, James, okay, but in the 80s you did? In the 80s and 90s, you had problems with them? Because, I functioned with them. Now, later, Well, I always not really functioned, but they had resources that we didn't have back then. But now we're deep. NC car is hella deep in prison, bro. And so we usually just stay in our own car. But like I said, I grew up in prison since '89, and I always functioned with neighborhood. I mean, I functioned with eight trays and gangsters before. Cat from Schoolyard. Um, um, what was dude's name from Broadway? You know, that's all the gangster car, and I functioned with them too before early '90s. Where was you at? You had problems with them. Don't get it twisted. I fought several down south Crips before. It's just part of being in prison. But I navigated, like I had several cellings for rolling 60s. I had Big C Dog, M Dog was my cellie in Jamestown. I also had M Dog next door to me in Lancaster. Mad Dog, I'm talking about Mad Dog from rolling 60s. Now he's a Muslim. And he fought his homies in there. DVI in the early 90s. I was there, bro. I was there all the night. Man, I know you. You have if I see your face, I have to know you. I grew up in DVI, bro, from 20 years old till 30. I did 10 years in DVI. I was in Jamestown too. Tuolumne Yard. I believe it's called Tuolumne Yard. It's the level 3 yard with the hole on it. Is that where you was with me at in Jamestown? Was you there when I got in a fight with Turtle? 3 days going home. Me, Big Venom, and Baby Dub. I took off on Turtle and they jumped in and we whipped Turtle's ass. Turtle was from like Modesto or something. He owed me $600 playing handball. He told me I wasn't getting paid, so I took off on him in Jamestown 3 days before I was going home, bro. Yeah, you in SAC? We can link up. So let me finish this Lunatic Frank story. So Lunatic Frank, let me back up. Okay, so Lunatic Frank, when I met him in corporate, he had everything, right? And he also ran a poker table. And this ain't no disrespect to no Damus or no Bloods. I mean, no Pyrus or no Damus. This ain't no disrespect. This is my homie's name. There was a few homies there from Sacramento that were Crips. One was Magoo from Nogales, and another one was BK from North Highlands. BK is a white boy, but he was on a level 4 yard with me at corporate, and the white boys didn't want none of it because we was kind of thick there. And I don't even think that was the reason. BK was down. So anyway, Lunatic Frank ran a poker table. And back in 2010, we had green dots. And you would bring your green dot to the poker table on the yard. I believe we was on AR. I'm almost positive we was on AR. We was on AR. We would bring our green dots to the yard and he would check the numbers, and however much you had on your green dot, he would give you the chips. And me and BK was playing. I was playing poker. BK was standing next to me, and Lunatic Frank made a comment that BK didn't like. And I had a cane. I always had a cane in prison. I always act like I was hurt. Got a cane. That's a weapon in prison. I had a cane by my side, and I'm standing up. I'm the fifth person on the table. You can only have 5 at the table. Or the police will trip. And Lunatic Frank, I forgot the comment. Don't get me to start lying about the comment. He had said something. And me and Lunatic Frank almost went to blows on Corky. I'm going to interview him when he comes home. We almost went to blows on court in corporate. But after that, we was like this because of something he said, and BK didn't like it. And me and him was out there. And Lunatic Frank ran the neighborhood car wherever he goes. He runs the neighborhood car. So it would have been problems. It would have been problems because they was deep up there. But we was deep also. But it would have just been if I'd have took off on him, he would have took off on me. We almost went there and someone got between us. And it was over a remark. It wasn't over poker. It wasn't over nothing like that. Oh shit. Let me put some of these up there. Yeah, we will, James. So as we was doing our time, I got sent to Solano level 3 from there because my points dropped. And but right before I left, I got caught with my phone. The Goon Squad ran up in there and found a can of tobacco, found my phone. took my whole phone book, the whole shit. And I was going through a divorce then. So it was the beginning of my time. So I was really, really frustrated. I had money. I've never struggled in prison. I always found ways to make money. And they took my first phone. I only had it for like maybe 6 months, maybe 8 months, and the goon squad ran up in my cell and took it. And so I want to touch on something else. That's where I met is his name Dirty Earn from Oak Park Zilla. He moved in next to me, and that dude right there, that dude right there, he was straight with me. And I believe Dirt's out. He's out right now, I believe, unless he went back, but he did come home. And he's one of the founders of Ridezilla, I believe. But he was straight with me, and I was his next door neighbor. But back to Lunatic Frank. So we ended up in CMC in 2017. It was my last like 8 months to going home, maybe a year. And Lunatic Frank and my homie, well, my ex-homie from San Jose, 7 Trees, got down in the kitchen. They both worked in the kitchen. And my homies, Lunatic Frank's in his early 60s, maybe late 50s, but he's still in good shape. But he's short and he got a mouth on him, bro. He thinks he just runs everything. And my homie, I don't even want to say his name. I ain't even going to give him a shout out. He blended Lunatic Frank. Lunatic Frank was swole. And his little homies had problems with the homie from San Jose, but the homie from San Jose just had them mitts, them unrecognizable, you can't match mitts. James. So what do you mean pressed you? They pressed you? Was they trying to extort you or something? Or was they trying, I don't understand. They pressed up on me because I was a little guy. I've never been pressed on by no Crips. I've been pressed on by Southerners, Northerners, and skinheads. And as soon as they press, you press back immediately. You flight them. That's so I always was taught this. I get pumped up when I talk about prison fights and shit. But they packed you out. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta interview you, bro. So James is from the Gardens. He's from my neighborhood, obviously. And you said that Southern Crips packed you out in Tracy in the early 90s. Huh. I couldn't have been there. Yeah, I believe you fought back. You have to fight back or your career is over with. We wasn't there. Was Pookie on the yard with you? Was Kool-Aid on the yard? Was old boy from Stockton, Cartoon on the yard? Was No Good on the yard? Because them are all the people that was on the yard with me. It was several of us. M Dog from Northside Gangster was there. The Twins. It was several of us there in the 90s, bro. Little Cisco. We was all there in the 90s. Baby Psych. We was all on Tracy mainline in the early 90s, bro. And if you was there and you was up under with us, Northern Crip, you wouldn't have got packed out. I guarantee it. We was too thick there. That was our yard. We was the thickest ones on the yard. LA was always thick, but we had numbers in the 90s at Tracy. Terry Joe came through there, but he wasn't there long. It was just you and Terry Joe. Then you had to have been there in 94 then. Because that's the only year I wasn't there in the 90s. 94, I stayed out and I was on the run all in 94, the beginning of 95. I got out in 93 and I stayed home almost 2 years, 1 year on the run. That's the only, because them are the only years I wasn't there from 89 to like 99. Yeah, 99, I caught my dope case and went back in 2000. What yard? There's only 1 yard at Tracy, bro. DVI only got 1 yard. What do you mean? You must be talking about Jamestown. I was in Jamestown way later, bro. I was in Jamestown in 2000 and, let me see, 2003 or 2. I was in Jamestown on Tuolumne Yard with M Dog from Rolling 60s, with what's his name from Harlem 30s, with the cane. I can't think of his name. Big Venom was there with me. Baby Dub. Zoe Lonzo Smith from 29th Street. Okay, Jamestown. Yeah, and back then I wasn't there back then, bro. In the 80s, I never went to Jamestown until 2003. I think my last year of my sentence for my dope case, I got sentenced in April of 2000, and I had a 5-year, 8-month sentence, and I did 3 years on that. So the last year of that, I went to Jamestown, 2003, I believe. Yeah, DVI, you wouldn't have got. Trust me, if you was up there, was you on a level 3 yard, James? Look, man, if you guys support my channel and you guys can't afford to buy a shirt, I know they're expensive. They're $25.99, $9.99 for shipping. Hell, I only got 4 left. If you guys don't want to buy a shirt and can't afford it, cash out me $1. Show me that you support my channel. $1. It's $1. One raggedy dollar. Cash out me $1. Let me know you support my channel. My cash out's going across the bottom. Anyways, so damn, I've been on here almost 30 minutes. This got to cut short. But I got 1, 2, and 3 yard. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't there back then, so I can't even speak on that, James. But I do want to hook up with you. I want to meet you, bro. You got to know who I am. I got to know who you are. If you're from 29th Street Garden Block Crip and you're old as you say you are, I have to know you. Your name, James Smith, ain't who you really are, because I would know that name. Anyways, the only person I know with the Smith name is my play brother. So anyways, I got stories about Big Key to Rock, about C-Dog, about M-Dog. I got stories about rolling 60s that I sailed with, and they get kind of heated. Like me and C-Dog, we would sell these at New Folsom on the 180 yard for a while, and we almost fought. And he told me he never lost a fight, and this dude was a gorilla. He killed he was in there for killing one of his homies, and at one time he was the only neighborhood on C facility in New Folsom, and it was hella gangsters there, and he fought. So he's married to Snoop Dogg's doggy angel, Chan, Big Chan. That's who C-Dog is married to, one of Snoop Dogg's doggy angels. I got stories about that cat right there. Also, M-Dog, that's the homie right there. M-Dog from Rolling 60s, he's Muslim now, but that was my dude for a lot of years, man. He might be home. No, I've been home 5. He's still got a couple years left, but that's my dude. But I got stories about Rolling 60s in prison with me and on the street. Big Key to Rock was out here on the street. I met him in a SIBO video, but I also met him in prison before, and I've talked to him on the phone several times. He's incarcerated in Arizona right now. So stay tuned for episode 3, Rolling 60 series. I will see you guys tomorrow. Stay blessed. Tell the people you love them, and check out 12 Rounds of Adrenaline if you haven't already went over there. And also, I want you guys to go over to Paradigm Media News with Boxer and check out the video of him interviewing Tony the Tiger Lopez. He interviewed him on his channel, and it's amazing some of the things I found out in that interview on Paradigm Media News. Go check that out on Boxer's channel, Paradigm Media News. Stay blessed, loco. Check y'all out tomorrow.